Deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, where the forest grows thick and the mist hangs heavy, there lies an old, dilapidated cabin. It's said that decades ago, a family lived there peacefully until tragedy struck one fateful winter. The Harpers, a family of 5, moved to the cabin seeking solace from the bustling city life. John, the father, was a rugged man who loved the solitude of the mountains. His wife, Mary, was a gentle soul who found joy in painting the serene landscapes that surrounded them. Their children, Tommy, Sarah, and little Emily, spent their days exploring the woods, their laughter echoing through the valleys. But that winter, an unexpected blizzard trapped them in their cabin for weeks. Supplies dwindled, and tensions rose. John, desperate to provide for his family, ventured into the forest one bitter evening to hunt for food. Hours passed, and he didn't return. Mary, filled with worry, bundled up her children and lit a lantern to search for him. They followed his tracks deep into the woods until they stumbled upon a clearing they had never seen before. There, under the pale moonlight, they found John lying motionless in the snow, his body covered in deep, mysterious wounds. Terrified and heartbroken, Mary ushered her children back to the cabin, locking the doors and barricading the windows. But that night, strange things began to happen. Whispers echoed through the cabin walls, calling their names in the darkness. Shadows danced in the corners of their vision, and icy fingers brushed against their skin. Tommy, the eldest, tried to reassure his sisters, but even he couldn't ignore the chilling presence that seemed to haunt their every move. Sarah claimed to see a figure standing at the edge of the forest, watching them with glowing eyes. Emily woke up screaming, insisting that someone was whispering to her in her dreams. Days turned into weeks, and the cabin became a prison of fear. Mary, unable to bear the torment any longer, made a desperate plea for help to the townsfolk. A group of brave men ventured into the woods to investigate, but they returned empty-handed, muttering about an unnatural silence that fell upon the forest and an overwhelming feeling of dread that drove them away. The Harpers were never seen again after that winter. The cabin, now weathered and forgotten, stands as a silent sentinel in the mountains, its walls holding the secrets of a family torn apart by an ancient evil that lurks in the shadows, waiting for its next unsuspecting victim to stumble upon its domain. Years passed, and the Harpers' cabin became a forbidden place among the locals. They spoke of it only in hushed tones, recounting the eerie events that had unfolded there. Some claimed to have seen ghostly lights flickering through the trees at night, while others swore they heard the faint cries of children carried on the wind. One particularly brave soul, a young man named Jake, grew up hearing these stories. He was fascinated by the mystery surrounding the cabin and its tragic history. Despite the warnings from his elders, Jake couldn't resist the pull of curiosity that drew him deeper into the heart of the Appalachian Mountains. On a crisp autumn afternoon, Jake gathered his courage and set out on a journey to find the infamous Harper cabin. The forest was dense and eerily silent as he trudged through fallen leaves, his heart racing with anticipation and a hint of fear. The sun began to sink behind the peaks, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch toward him like grasping fingers. After what felt like hours of wandering, Jake stumbled upon the overgrown path that led to the cabin. The air grew colder, and a shiver ran down his spine as he approached the weathered structure. The cabin loomed before him, its windows boarded up and its roof sagging under the weight of time. With each creaking step, Jake entered the cabin cautiously, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. The interior was as if frozen in time, with remnants of furniture overturned and scattered across the floor. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the sound of his own breathing echoing through the empty rooms. Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he explored further, his mind racing with the stories he had heard. He reached the bedroom where the Harpers had once slept, and there, carved into the rotting wood of the bed frame, were the names: John, Mary, Tommy, Sarah, and Emily. It sent a chill down his spine to see the names etched as if someone had tried to preserve their memory. Suddenly, a faint whisper echoed in the room, barely audible yet unmistakable. "Help us?" It seemed to plead, carried on a breath of wind that swept through the cabin. Jake froze, his breath catching in his throat as he turned toward the source of the sound. Shadows seemed to dance in the corners of his vision, and the air grew colder still. In a panic, Jake stumbled backward, tripping over debris and scrambling to his feet. He sprinted toward the door, desperate to escape the oppressive presence that seemed to close in around him. As he burst out into the cool night air, he glanced back at the cabin one last time. There, in the window of the bedroom where the names were carved, stood the faint outline of 5 figures. They were silhouettes against the pale moonlight, watching him with eyes that glowed like embers in the darkness. Jake ran, his heart racing and his mind reeling from what he had witnessed. He didn't stop until he reached the safety of the town, where he collapsed in exhaustion and relief. The memory of the Harper cabin haunted him for years to come, a reminder of the darkness that lurked in the depths of the Appalachian Mountains and the souls that still wandered its lonely paths. Months passed, but Jake couldn't shake the eerie encounter at the Harper cabin from his mind. The haunting whispers and the spectral figures stayed with him, lingering like a shadow in the corners of his consciousness. Despite his fear, or perhaps because of it, he became obsessed with uncovering the truth behind the cabin's dark history. Jake spent countless nights poring over old newspaper clippings and dusty town records, searching for any clue that could explain what had happened to the Harpers. The more he delved into the past, the more he unearthed tales of strange occurrences in the mountains. Disappearances, sightings of mysterious lights, and whispered rumors of a curse that had befallen anyone who dared to venture too close to the cabin. One particularly stormy evening, as lightning split the sky and thunder echoed through the valley, Jake made a decision. Armed with a determination born of equal parts curiosity and dread, he resolved to return to the Harper cabin and confront whatever malevolent force dwelled there. The forest was alive with the sound of rain pelting the leaves as Jake navigated the familiar path that led him back to the cabin. The wind howled through the trees, creating an eerie symphony that seemed to echo his own racing heartbeat. Every step felt heavier than the last. Anticipation mingled with a gnawing fear that threatened to consume him. When he finally reached the cabin, Jake hesitated for only a moment before pushing open the creaking door. Inside, the air was thick with the musty scent of decay and the remnants of a past long forgotten. The storm raged outside, casting fleeting shadows that danced across the walls like spectral fingers. Jake's flashlight flickered as he moved cautiously through the cabin, his senses on high alert. He retraced his steps to the bedroom where he had seen the apparitions before. The carvings on the bed frame were still there, stark against the weathered wood, a testament to the family that had once called this place home. As he stood there, enveloped in the silence broken only by the storm outside, Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The whispers began again, faint and indistinct at first, but growing louder with each passing moment. They seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, a mournful lament that filled the cabin with a palpable sense of sorrow and longing. Suddenly, a voice, a child's voice, cut through the whispers like a knife. "Help us?" it pleaded, echoing through the room with heartbreaking clarity. Jake spun around, his flashlight beam trembling as it illuminated the darkness. There, in the corner of the room, stood the ghostly figures of 5 individuals: John, Mary, Tommy, Sarah, and Emily. Their forms were translucent, their faces etched with sadness and despair. Yet, there was also a glimmer of hope in their eyes, a plea for release from the torment that had bound them to this earthly realm for so long. Without thinking, driven by a mixture of fear and compassion, Jake stepped forward. "What happened to you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The figures shimmered before him, their presence both haunting and strangely serene. The air around Jake seemed to grow warmer, as if a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. The whispers faded, replaced by a gentle breeze that carried the scent of pine and rain. And then, in a flicker of light, the apparitions began to dissolve, their forms dissipating like smoke in the wind. Jake watched in awe as the cabin grew still once more, the storm outside abating to a gentle patter of rain. He knew, deep down, that he had witnessed something extraordinary, a glimpse into a world beyond our own, where the souls of the departed yearned for peace. As he left the cabin and made his way back through the forest, Jake felt a sense of closure wash over him. The mystery of the Harpers had been unraveled, their restless spirits finally finding solace in the acknowledgement of their tragic fate. And though the tales of the Harper cabin would continue to echo through the mountains for years to come, Jake knew that he had played a part in laying their spirits to rest. For him, the haunting whispers had become a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of compassion in the face of darkness. In the days that followed Jake's encounter at the Harper cabin, a profound sense of peace settled over the once dreaded place. The whispers and ghostly apparitions ceased entirely, and the forest around the cabin seemed to regain its natural serenity. The townsfolk, who had long avoided the area, cautiously ventured back into the woods, sensing a newfound tranquility that hadn't been felt in decades. Jake, however, remained deeply affected by his experience. He couldn't shake the memory of the Harper family's restless spirits and their plea for help. Determined to understand more about what had transpired, he continued his research into the cabin's history and the legends that surrounded it. Through old journals and forgotten letters, Jake pieced together the tragic tale of the Harpers. John, a skilled woodsman, had indeed perished in the woods under mysterious circumstances. His body had been found with deep, inexplicable wounds, leaving Mary and their children utterly devastated and vulnerable to the malevolent forces that seemed to haunt the cabin thereafter. Driven by a mix of curiosity and a sense of responsibility, Jake reached out to local historians and spiritualists who had studied the supernatural occurrences in the area. They shared tales of ancient curses and restless spirits, suggesting that the cabin had become a focal point for lingering souls trapped between worlds. One elderly woman, known for her knowledge of Appalachian folklore, spoke of a ritual that could potentially offer closure to the spirits of the departed. With her guidance, Jake embarked on a journey to gather the necessary items, a mix of herbs, candles, and symbolic artifacts, to perform the ritual at the Harper cabin. On a quiet evening, under the light of a full moon, Jake returned to the cabin once more. He carefully laid out the items in the bedroom where he had first encountered the spirits, setting the stage for a ceremony meant to offer peace and release to the Harper family. As he lit the candles and spoke the ancient words passed down through generations, a sense of solemn purpose filled the air. The forest around the cabin grew still, as if nature itself held its breath in anticipation. The ritual unfolded with a quiet intensity, each gesture and incantation carrying the weight of centuries-old wisdom and compassion. And then, as Jake reached the culmination of the ritual, a soft glow enveloped the room. The air seemed to shimmer with energy, and a gentle warmth spread through the cabin. The spirits of John, Mary, Tommy, Sarah, and Emily appeared once more, their forms radiant and peaceful. With tear-filled eyes, Jake spoke words of forgiveness and farewell. He thanked them for sharing their story and offered his heartfelt condolences for the pain they had endured. In that moment, he felt a profound connection to the Harper family, a bond forged through empathy and a shared journey toward healing. Slowly, the spirits began to fade, their ethereal presence melting into the moonlit shadows. They departed with a sense of lightness and gratitude, leaving behind a profound sense of closure and peace in their wake. As Jake emerged from the cabin into the cool night air, he knew that he had played a pivotal role in laying to rest the haunting legacy of the Harper cabin. The once feared place had transformed into a symbol of redemption and renewal, a testament to the enduring power of compassion and understanding in the face of darkness. And as he made his way back through the forest, guided by the gentle glow of the moon, Jake carried with him a newfound sense of purpose, a guardian of stories untold and spirits unburdened, forever intertwined with the timeless mysteries of the Appalachian Mountains. In the weeks following the ritual at the Harper cabin, Jake found himself reflecting deeply on the profound events that had unfolded. The haunting whispers and ghostly apparitions that had once plagued the old cabin were now replaced by a sense of peace that seemed to permeate the very air around it. Word spread quickly through the small town nestled in the Appalachian Mountains. The tale of Jake's encounter and the subsequent ritual became a topic of hushed conversations and whispered speculation. Some were skeptical, dismissing it as mere folklore, while others found solace in the idea that the Harper family spirits had finally found rest. Jake continued to visit the cabin periodically, almost as if drawn by an unseen force. Each time he returned, he found the atmosphere to be calm and serene, devoid of the eerie presence that had once gripped him with fear. The forest, too, seemed to welcome him, its ancient trees whispering secrets of a time long past. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Jake walked through the woods towards the cabin, he noticed a faint glimmer of light filtering through the trees. Curious, he quickened his pace, his heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and uncertainty. When he reached the clearing where the cabin stood, he gasped in astonishment at what he saw. A soft, golden glow surrounded the cabin, casting long shadows that danced playfully on the forest floor. The air was infused with a sense of tranquility, as if the very essence of peace had taken root in this once dreaded place. Jake approached cautiously, his senses alert to any sign of the supernatural. As he stepped inside the cabin, he felt a warmth envelop him, like a gentle embrace from an unseen presence. The interior was bathed in soft light, the dust motes dancing in the sunbeams that filtered through the cracked windows. It was as if the cabin itself had been transformed, shedding its haunted past to embrace a new chapter of serenity and redemption. In the corner of the room where Jake had performed the ritual, he noticed something that hadn't been there before. A small, delicate wildflower blooming defiantly amidst the debris. Its petals were a vibrant shade of purple, a stark contrast to the muted tones of the cabin's interior. Jake knelt beside it, marveling at its beauty and resilience. As he gazed at the wildflower, a sense of gratitude washed over him. He realized that his journey had not only brought closure to the Harper family, but had also awakened a deeper understanding within himself. The mysteries of the Harper cabin had connected him to something larger than life, a tapestry of stories woven into the fabric of the mountains themselves. With a sigh of contentment, Jake stood up and turned to leave the cabin. As he stepped back into the forest, he carried with him a newfound sense of purpose and a renewed appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things. The wildflower remained behind, its presence a testament to the enduring power of hope and renewal in even the darkest of places. And as Jake made his way back through the woods, guided by the dappled sunlight filtering through the canopy above, he knew that he would never forget the lessons learned in the shadow of the Harper cabin. For in that quiet corner of the Appalachian Mountains, amidst the whispers of the past and the promise of the future, Jake had found not only peace, but also a profound connection to the timeless mysteries that lay hidden within the heart of the wilderness. As Jake continued to visit the Harper cabin in the months that followed, he noticed a subtle change in the surrounding forest. The once overgrown path leading to the cabin seemed clearer, as if nature itself was reclaiming the space from years of neglect. Wildflowers began to bloom along the edges of the trail, their colors a vivid contrast against the lush greenery. Each visit brought a renewed sense of tranquility and connection for Jake. He found himself drawn not only to the cabin but also to the expansive wilderness that surrounded it. The mountains whispered stories of generations past, of resilience and hardship, of mysteries yet to be uncovered. One chilly evening in late autumn, as Jake approached the cabin, he noticed something different, a flicker of movement at the edge of the clearing. His heart skipped a beat as he cautiously approached, his senses alert to any sign of the supernatural. Standing there, at the boundary between the cabin and the forest, was a figure, a woman with long, flowing hair and a gentle smile. Her presence was ethereal, bathed in the soft glow of twilight. "Mary," Jake whispered, hardly daring to believe his eyes. The figure nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and peace. It was Mary Harper, the matriarch of the family that had once called this place home. Her spirit seemed to radiate warmth and serenity, as if she had finally found the peace she had sought for so long. Jake approached slowly, his heart overflowing with compassion. "I'm sorry for what happened to your family," he said softly, his voice filled with empathy. Mary's smile widened, and she gestured toward the cabin behind her. Through the cracked windows, Jake could see faint, flickering lights, echoes of the past that had haunted the cabin for years. But now, they seemed to dance with a sense of joy and liberation. "You brought us peace," Mary whispered, her voice carrying on the gentle breeze that rustled through the trees. "Your kindness and understanding released us from our torment." Tears welled up in Jake's eyes as he realized the profound impact his actions had had on the Harper family. He had not only laid their spirits to rest but had also forged a connection that transcended the boundaries between the living and the departed. As twilight deepened into night, Mary's form began to fade, her presence becoming more ephemeral. But before she vanished completely, she reached out and touched Jake's hand. A fleeting gesture of gratitude and farewell. Jake stood there, bathed in the moonlight, long after Mary had disappeared. The forest around him seemed to hum with a quiet reverence, as if acknowledging the sacred bond that had been forged that evening. From that day forward, the Harper cabin became a place of pilgrimage for those who sought solace and healing. Visitors spoke of feeling a profound sense of peace and tranquility within its walls, a testament to the enduring power of compassion and empathy. As for Jake, he carried Mary's touch with him always, a reminder of the interconnectedness of all beings and the profound impact one act of kindness can have. He continued to visit the cabin, not out of fear or obligation, but out of a deep-rooted sense of reverence for the spirits that had found peace within its walls. And as he walked back through the forest that night, guided by the gentle glow of the stars above, Jake knew that the Harper cabin would forever hold a place in his heart, a sanctuary where stories of the past intertwined with hopes for the future, bound together by the timeless mysteries of the Appalachian Mountains. Jake's encounters with the Harper family spirits left an indelible mark on him. He became known throughout the region as the one who had brought peace to the haunted cabin, and people sought him out for advice and guidance on matters of the supernatural. Over time, Jake deepened his understanding of the spiritual realm, studying ancient rituals and connecting with other spiritualists who shared his interest in exploring the mysteries of the Appalachian Mountains. He became a respected figure in the community, known not only for his knowledge but also for his compassionate heart and unwavering dedication to helping others. As the years passed, the Harper cabin continued to be a place of healing and transformation. Visitors from near and far came to pay their respects and seek solace among the whispering pines and wildflowers that now adorned the once desolate clearing. With each visit, Jake felt a renewed sense of gratitude for the Harper family and their enduring legacy. He knew that their spirits still lingered in the woods, watching over the land they had loved so dearly. And although their physical presence had faded, their story continued to resonate with all who crossed paths with the cabin. One crisp autumn day, as Jake stood before the cabin, he felt a gentle breeze caress his face, a familiar sensation that brought a smile to his lips. He closed his eyes and whispered a silent thank you to Mary, John, Tommy, Sarah, and Emily for allowing him to be a part of their journey. As he turned to leave, a single wildflower caught his eye, a vibrant purple blossom that stood tall among the fallen leaves. It was a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the beauty that could bloom even in the most unexpected places. With a sense of peace in his heart, Jake walked away from the Harper cabin, knowing that he had found his purpose in life, to bridge the gap between the seen and the unseen, to bring light to the shadows, and to honor the spirits who had found their way home. And as he disappeared into the embrace of the forest, guided by the gentle whispers of the wind and the quiet murmur of the trees, Jake knew that the Harper cabin would forever remain a beacon of hope and healing, a testament to the enduring power of compassion, understanding, and the timeless mysteries that lay hidden within the heart of the Appalachian Mountains.